Welcome to Divorce Mortgage Strategies, brought to you by the Divorce Lending Association, where clarity meets strategy in the financial side of divorce. Whether you're a family law professional, a financial expert, or someone navigating the complexities of divorce yourself, this podcast is your go-to resource for trusted insight into how real property and mortgage financing intersect with divorce outcomes. We don't just talk about houses. We talk about strategic solutions that protect futures. Let's dive in. Today, we welcome host, certified divorce lending professional Karla Kyte and her guest and founder of Peaceful Presence Divorce Coaching, Cat Climaco.
Hi, my name is Karla Kyte, and I have My Divorce Mortgage Planning as my consulting company. And I wanted to interview Kat today because I think that she brings something a little bit unique to the divorce coach space. So, Kat, can you just give us a quick little rundown on how you got started in this business?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Carla. I am a nationally certified high conflict divorce and custody coach, and high conflict is just code for domestic violence, really.
And that's what's unique, I think. That's
Yeah,
Not all divorce coaches deal with DV. And so that was really why I wanted to bring you on and interview you today.
yeah, we're something like 10% of cases. And when I say we because my personal journey through divorce and family court, I am a domestic violence victim survivor in the form of coercive control. And that's basically everything but physical abuse. And for survivors of non-physical intimate partner violence, the abuse doesn't end when we escape the relationship, it actually escalates. So, I remember being so exhausted and confused, and people I kept encountering were saying to me, in the family court world or in the divorce space, I've never seen anything like this. This is another level of scary and
Mhm.
manipulation, and it's just next level. And so I found an organization called One Mom's Battle when I was going through my journey. There's a woman named Tina Swithin who wrote the book Divorcing a Narcissist, One Mom's Battle. I got certified and trained as a high conflict divorce coach through Tina's program. While I was preparing for my own family court hearing after 3 years of nonstop abuse, I now have sole legal decision making in all areas and primary custody, and essentially what amounts to a protection order through my court orders. And it has granted us so much peace and safety. And what I realized throughout my own personal journey is there really is a set of unspoken rules that people in the family court industry are sort of playing by, for lack of a better term. And if you don't know what they are, it's impossible to protect your children and yourself. And it very much is formulaic. And there seems to be a path that you can take to protect your kids. And then there's another path that seems like the most instinctual route to go. It's as protective parents, we behave in a way that we are just like our biology drives us to behave in that way to protect our children, but it doesn't present well in family court. And so I realized there's this way that we have to behave and present and document our case so that we can get these drastically undertrained family court judges to see, understand, and order protective orders in our cases. And so that's why I got into this line of work, because everybody deserves this level of support and protection. Yeah.
But can you explain what coercive control means? We've had training on it through the Divorce Lending Association. I know Jody has talked about it a lot and she's really gone into that space. But can you explain for somebody watching this video, like what exactly does that mean? Love the cat.
I know. So this is Ziggy, and he's like my therapy animal. Anytime
Love
I'm
it.
talking about something challenging, he can tell and he jumps up. He does this with my private coaching clients too. Coercive control is a pattern, and that's really the distinguishing thing. It's a pattern of behavior that is persistent. It looks like things like manipulation of the children, manipulation of the facts, circumstances, and evidence in a case. It looks like people behaving in a very Machiavellian way. So that's the
Mhm.
willingness to use and exploit people for personal gain. These are all sort of traits of narcissism, which I know is a hot button trait, but narcissistic abuse and coercive control are one and the same. This looks like leveraging the children as a pawn, as a way to continue controlling and harming the healthy parent after they escape the relationship. So I will, um, what was a really terrible one? I will not bring our son to your house on time so that you can make the flight for your vacation unless you give me a full extra week of parenting time.
Oh, wow.
So they
Uh,
are coercing you
Sure.
to do something that you know is not in your children's best interest, out of the repercussions being so devastating or upsetting or expensive that you are inclined to say yes, right? It's
Mhm.
coercion. And
Yeah.
this really permeates coercive control is the underpinning, it's the basis for all forms of domestic violence.
So, what you touched on earlier when you were talking that I wanted to ask about, or maybe make a point of like where you as a divorce coach can be so impactful,
Mhm.
is like the advocating for yourself. Because people don't get divorced every day, right? So,
Yeah.
if this isn't something that you've ever done, which most people have not, and even if you have, it's probably been many years and it's probably under different circumstances. And so I think like that's where you as a divorce coach can be really the most impactful is helping you to advocate for yourself. Because like you said, you get into the courtroom and you don't know what you're doing in there. It's intimidating also, right? So how do you help people to navigate that space and make sure they're advocating for themselves? I think they think that their attorney is always going to just get in there and bang it out for them, and that's not the case.
No, and it actually starts way before when you get into family court. So what I always tell people is hire a divorce coach before you hire an attorney, and they'll help you find the right attorney.
Agreed.
So many attorneys who A, haven't been divorced, B, don't understand this personality dynamic that the majority of my clients are dealing with. And so, they're making recommendations that might make sense for 90% of the population, but for this
Hmm.
10% of the population that are my clients, these are not practical strategies. These are not practical parenting plans or practical expectations. And so start with a divorce coach because they can really help you build your sphere of safety. They'll help you find an attorney who understands the dynamics of what you're dealing with and will advocate because I can't tell you the number of clients that have come to me and said, my attorney said, don't say domestic violence, don't bring it up at all, you'll lose your kids. No, terrible advice.
Wow.
Surround yourself with people who understand, believe you, understand how to advocate, and will give you the recommendations that you need to continue to be resilient because this is, especially in clients that I'm dealing with, this isn't like a get divorced in 1 year and it's done. This is you are dealing with this at least until your children turn 18. And then, it's still there through college, kids getting married, grandbabies, all of that. And it's really the full life cycle of the divorce process. What do I need to do to mindfully plan my divorce? How do I get through this in a way that allows me to preserve my integrity and not change who I am as a person to stoop to their level? And then how do I figure out how to co parent with someone I couldn't get along with when I was married to them and they're my abuser, right? How do I do that? And so it's all about surrounding yourself with the right team. That's the best way to set yourself
Mhm.
up to have more positive outcomes when you get to family court, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've had time to look into this yet too, but I do think that some of this coercive, what should I say? Like some of the coercive abuse, I think can now be looked at in terms of how support is paid out in the state of Colorado. So I think there's something that's playing into that. I don't know the details on that. I think there's a pretty big gray area, but it'll be interesting to see how some of that plays out now. Yeah.
Unfortunately, my view of that is not as positive. The
Oh,
last time you and I talked, we sort of touched
yeah.
on it a little bit. To me, what it looks like is child support is now not based on a minimum number of overnights. It is based on literally like the exact amount of parenting time. So before, there was a minimum threshold of child support that the primary custodial parent would receive no matter what. Now, the non-custodial parent only has to pay, it's like a prorated rate. So they're actually getting away with paying less now.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that's not how when I read it, that's just not how I interpreted it. So
Yeah.
interesting. I know there's a lot more to come on this, so
Yeah.
I don't want to get
With
into too deep,
no,
but there's
no.
stuff to
I
come there for
thankfully
sure.
what I think you're hearing is some of the changes they made in the last couple of years to the domestic relations laws and the
Hmm.
definitions of what constitutes as domestic violence have in so much more broader terms included what is coercive control. And they literally talk like financial abuse, manipulation, harassment,
Hmm.
all those things.
Hmm.
And if you get a domestic violence distinction on your case, meaning the court recognizes that there is domestic violence present, which is coercive control as well, they
Yeah,
cannot legally order joint decision making. They cannot force you into a situation where you are required to make joint decisions with your abuser.
got
So
it.
that's the protection that I have, and that's the
Yeah.
protection. That's the route that I go with
Okay.
my clients. Yeah.
Okay. That makes total sense. So thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah.
Um, so is there something specific on maybe one case that really stands out to you? I don't know, maybe a big win, maybe something that was really just a really impactful case that you've worked on.
Yeah, I think this post decree case that has
Mhm.
really shown me what protection looks like and how boundaries are key to safety is a recent client that I worked with. You're forced to co-parent with your abuser, and there are so few parameters that are put into place around access to one another. My client was getting text messages like nonstop, 4 o'clock in the morning, waking her up all hours. And the court
Mhm.
basically said, you can communicate by text. And he was just, again, this is coercive control. I'm going to make sure you have no peace. This is abuse. This is non physical intimate partner violence. We were able to get the court to agree to something called civil communicator, which is a form of monitored communication. And they had very specific parameters put in place that they requested from the judicial officer. X number of messages allowed to be sent in a day and a week. You are not allowed to send any communication outside of this platform. If you do, this is the consequence, which includes loss of parenting time. The protection and the peace that she and her children have experienced as a result of what somebody wouldn't even think of, right? Like, of course, you have
Yeah.
to text and communicate with your co parent. No, they will exploit this as a form of abuse. The peace and safety that she has experienced, she said, it's like my whole world has changed.
Oh,
I have a new lease on
wow.
life. I don't have to constantly, like, my body doesn't freeze when my phone pings, right?
Hmm.
Because before,
Hmm.
every time she would hear a text message sound in her phone, she would just panic. She was in a constant state of fight or flight.
Yeah.
I am just the quiet is so protective. It's amazing. So that's
Yeah.
huge.
That's awesome. That reminds me of I met with a CDFA this morning, and she was telling me about her divorce and how it is so ugly. And they actually go back to court next week. They've been divorced for 10 years. Um, and just how it was actually quite easy, and they just mediated the divorce. It was pretty simple until he got remarried and had two more children with the new wife. And all of a sudden, after that happened, everything just snowballed and changed. So I like that you pointed that out that, as a divorce coach, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily just there to help them through the divorce process because there's so much stuff that comes up post decree. And then what she was saying too is just, there's stuff that just was not, and in divorces, there's stuff that just is not laid out properly in terms of what are the consequences if this or that is not followed. So, and I see that in a lot of cases, just as it pertains to the house, that's the part I'm dealing with. There's so many loose agreements made and no consequences addressed, right? Like, yeah, we're just going to sell the house, but what if it doesn't sell? So and so is going to just refinance. Well, what if they can't refinance, right?
Mhm.
They just don't have anything set up for it's the what if part is gone.
Well, in the real estate space, something that I have seen is so helpful is like giving either the mortgage lender or the real estate agent the power to make decisions. Like we agree on a price reduction every,
Yeah.
30 days in advance, according to the rate that the realtor becomes the tiebreaker or the mortgage
Hmm.
lender becomes the decision maker. Those things put it into an agreement, they just solve so much conflict before it even starts. And so, like, we put in teeth, like you're talking about teeth.
Yeah.
If either party is the cause of delay or the house, a sale falling through, that party shall be responsible for paying 100% of the mortgage until the next opportunity for a sale arises. Like, if
Yeah.
you create conflict, you are responsible for, the consequences, right?
Yeah. I love that. And I love how you stated that too. You put some teeth in it. That
Mhm.
matters.
It
Yeah.
does.
That makes a big, big difference.
For
Yeah.
my clients, consequences are the only thing abusers pay attention to, and financial consequences, pretty much, are the only ones they
Yeah.
care.
Okay. So if somebody is looking for a divorce coach, first of all, how can they find you? And then, is there anything otherwise specific that you want to address about you or the work that you do?
Yeah, thanks. So the name of my company is Peaceful Presence Divorce Coaching, and I named it that because that's what I seek for myself and all of my clients, peace. That's really all we're ever seeking when
Love
we
it.
choose to leave an unhealthy relationship, right? My website is peacefulpresencedivorcecoaching.com, or PPD coaching for short. And then I'm also on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. I offer free consults to everyone. And then
Nice.
something that is really, really important to me, this work is deeply personal. And even if somebody is in a place where they're not ready for coaching or whatever it is, right? I offer a free twice monthly lunch and learn series from
Love that.
noon to 1 Mountain Standard Time every second and fourth Wednesday of the month. It's experts on various topics. So, for example, the one tomorrow is the financial reset after divorce, how today's decisions financially affect tomorrow. And it's just on a breadth of topics. We had somebody talking
Mhm.
about manipulation proof parenting plans, myself and an attorney, how to leverage unbundled legal services. We're also going to be talking about how to eat to reduce inflammation and nervous system flare ups to support your body regulation when you're going through something challenging like this.
I love
So,
that.
yeah. Yep. You can sign up through my website twice a month, every second and fourth Wednesday. And it's just something I adore because this community is my heart and
Yeah.
everybody deserves support, no matter what
Yeah.
though.
No, that's amazing. And then you have different experts that come on,
Yep.
right? For the different, okay, awesome.
Yep.
Love it. I love that
Yeah.
you offer that support to the community. I think it's really important. Is it more of a presentation style or is it more of a Q&A for the consumer?
Yeah. So it lasts about an hour. Typically, the conversation, it's
Okay.
more of a conversation between myself and the expert. They bring a lot of expertise and we talk about, it applies to a lot of the clients' situations that I deal with as well. And then towards the end, it's between, 15 and 30-minute question and answer, live QA, where people can ask me or the expert any questions they might have as it pertains to their particular case.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much. And yeah, I look forward to connecting with you further and helping a lot of clients through this process.
Likewise. Thank you for what you do. I appreciate you, Karla.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for joining us on Divorce Mortgage Strategies, powered by the Divorce Lending Association. If today's conversation brought you clarity, insight, or inspiration, we encourage you to subscribe and share this episode with others in your circle. For more resources, or to connect with a certified divorce lending professional in your area, visit divorcelendingassociation.com. And be sure to download the free Divorce Strategy Hub mobile app for tools, education, and support designed to guide you through the financial side of divorce. Until next time, remember, in divorce, the mortgage isn't the problem, it's the plan.